Good evening. Welcome to another installment of J. Corbett's ministry and our show called The Offering. It is such a pleasure to have you with us here this Wednesday night, and we do praise God for you. We give God all the glory and all the honor. Hey, listen, I want to thank you for the last 2 weeks. Our viewership has been pretty good getting started, but we certainly want you to view regularly and consistently, and we also want you to invite others. Now, as you know, we've mentioned over and over again, the thrust of this ministry is to deal in the 4 key areas that we believe are of great concern to all humans as we grow, live, and develop and do what it is we need to do. Now, listen, so we tackle spirituality, we tackle mental health, we tackle your physical health, and we tackle your financial health. Last week, we did an offering on the 7 ways to be spiritually healthy, and we hope that was a blessing to you. If you had not had opportunity to view it, please go back, view that, and give us some comments. Let us know what you think or how you feel about it, and we thank God for you. Also, when you go on YouTube on Sundays and Wednesdays, ring the bell and click to subscribe. We would appreciate it. You doing that very much. If this content is helpful to you, and that's what we try to do. We try to be helpful. This is a ministry, and we try to be equipped in every way to address these 4 key areas that I believe are essential to our holistic health. Now, so tonight we're going to look at that 4th element, financial. It is the thrust of J. Corbett Ministries to help you become debt-free. We hope that you live debt-free, but if you don't, this is one of our ministry thrusts as we attempt to get you the knowledge you need to be empowered to get out of debt. Now, we want you to live totally debt-free, and we want you to watch out for pitfalls in life that entangle you and get you into situations where you borrow, or you certainly depend on sources to borrow, particularly money for consumer debt or car debt or whatever like that. So this ministry is designed to help you alleviate that stress, and hopefully it puts us back in touch with our true origin, in that the Bible teaches us as Christians that the borrower is slave to the lender, and we certainly don't want to do that. I believe, as just as you believe, that slavery is repulsive. It's a repulsive act, and we don't want to be. We would just not like the fact that somebody would call us a slave, or the act of slavery in the United States, or whatever else. So we don't want you to be enslaved to debt. The Bible also says, owe no man anything but to love him. And we certainly want to do that. So we want to talk about one of the more pressing issues here as it concerns debt. And that is this whole idea of student loan debt. In the class of 2019, just a couple years ago, all college graduates graduated, and 69% of them had borrowed loans, either private or federal loans. The average private or federal loan that was borrowed during that time of their education, their matriculation, is $29,900. So if you round that out, it's $30,000. Then another 14% took out Parent Plus loans, and the average Parent Plus loan was $37,200. That's a lot of debt for somebody just getting out of school. And as I do research in this area of debt, and particularly student loan debt, it is an epidemic. It is of epidemic proportion. And what I mean by that is it's impacting so many lives. Currently, as we speak, there is $1.71 trillion owed in America on student loan debt. Let me say that again. $1.71 trillion owed on student loan debt. It's that dirty little secret, if you will. Not many people talk about it, but people keep this noose tied around their neck for 10 and sometimes 20 years. Listen, there are 44.7 million borrowers who owe money back. Now, many would say, well, the debt problem comes from credit cards. Let me show you. If you take everybody who owes anything on a credit card right now, it would only equal $739 billion. That's a lot of money. But as compared to student loan debt, which is a staggering $1.71 trillion, that's a lot of money. And so we have to be careful because these things are troublesome. Now, not only that, but prior to the pandemic, it's gone down some because, people didn't have to pay during the pandemic. But prior to the pandemic, 11.1% of all student loans were in default, meaning that they were at least 90 days delinquent. The average payment is $300 a month, and on top of the $29.9 or the $37.2, there is on the low end 4.5 interest, a 4.5 interest rate. That's a good rate, if you will. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. But I want to help you try to get out of some of this student loan debt. And I want to introduce a quick read to you, just a very small book from a young man who is tearing it up on YouTube. His name is Anthony O'Neill. Anthony O'Neill. He has written this little quick read, and what he's done is he's entitled it, Destroy Your Student Loan Debt. And what it is the step-by-step guide to paying off your student loans faster. Now, this young man is a #1 best-selling author, and his #1 book is entitled Debt-Free Degree. What he wants you to do is figure out ways to get your degree without borrowing money. But if you do, here we go. We'll destroy those student loans. So now, let me say something else about student loans before we dive into this little review here of Anthony O'Neill's work. Some people believe that they have these PSFLs, the programs that they're in. These are public service forgiveness loan programs. And 1.378 million of borrowers, of the 44 million, have applied for this forgiveness. Well, are in this forgiveness program, let me see. 227,382 applications have been received and processed. Now, as of today, only 3,776 have received the forgiveness. There are stipulations. That's a slippery slope because there's so many little caveats that if you don't adhere to those strict guidelines, you don't qualify for the forgiveness. Just let's say if you're 1 day late or a week late, or you may just be disqualified, or if you don't work a certain amount of time in a certain segment. Say if you change jobs, and you're out of that field, you may not qualify for the forgiveness. So that's a real slippery slope. And some people are waiting. Well, I'll keep deferring. I'll get a forbearance until I get to that 5 year, 10 year, 7 year, whatever realm you need to be in order to apply for the forgiveness? Well, with 227,382 people having applied and only 3,776 people having received this forgiveness, the likelihood of getting it is not good. I know that there have been some talk in Washington about forgiving student loans, but I don't know. Administrations change, Congress changes, and you need to buckle down and not really put all your eggs in that basket. So what I'm saying tonight is that I want you and I to take a deep dive into this situation that's going to help all of us tonight as we dive in to this idea and use Anthony O'Neill's little quick read as our guide. He talks about in his book, picture yourself right now being completely free of that student loan. Then he asks us to imagine what would that feel like. Then he wants us to imagine how much extra money a month could we put into our bank accounts. Money enough to open a business, perhaps, go on that dream vacation, build wealth, to upgrade your home or to buy a home, to be more generous in your giving, and certainly to create a legacy for your children that when they go to college, they won't have to get into debt. He tells us in the book from the very get excited about getting closer to that ideal, and he wants us to start today. So this little quick read is broken down into 3 parts, and he starts in part 1 with a problem, and he says the problem is that we've actually not been told the truth. And we were told that the only way we could go to school is if we borrowed the money. That's the first untruth. Then he talks about if you go to college, you get a better job. That's the next untruth. And if you get this job, you can live your dreams. That's the next untruth. And everybody else is doing it. That's the next untruth. These are problems. See, he goes on to say borrowing money never opens a door, but it always slams a door in your face. And he talks about debt being a thief. Debt will rob you of opportunity of building a house or changing careers or raising a family or being generous or getting married. Some people don't want folk on all this debt. Traveling, it robs you of that. Starting a business, and it hinders your ability to begin to invest in your retirement. So what we need to see is that it's a problem. It's a problem because, say, the average person would borrow 35,000, say 35, let's say 35, at 4.5 interest. Well, if you pay that off in 10 years, you got a problem because you've just paid $8,500 extra in interest. Look at this. Instead of paying the 35, you pay 43.5. You know? So that's too much money. Say if you lollygag with it, this 35,000, you don't pay it off until 20 years. Well, you just added another $18,000 in interest, and you end up paying $53,000. That's a lot of money. So this is the problem with student loan. It robs you. It's a thief. It's a liar. And we've got to make sure that we teach our young folk, and if there's a millennial, if there is a person that's just out of school and you need this help, you can get it. This is what we're here for, and this is why we exist. Now, the thing we need to kind of put out our mind is the possibility of this forgiveness. I'm going to wait, I'm going to forbear, I'm going to defer, I'm going to do all of this other stuff. Don't do it. Go ahead and pay. And if they forgive it, well, hey, that'll be good. But I'm telling you, go ahead and pay. Don't ruin your life with this. It's a problem, as Anthony identifies. Not only that, but in part 2 of the book, he talks about we got to go back to the basics. We've got to get back to what works. The basics work. And where do we begin? Well, we begin at the beginning. And we never dismiss an opportunity to start at the beginning. We made a mess by borrowing the money. Now it's time to clean it up. And where do you start at a cleaning project? At the beginning. So we've identified the problem. Student loans is a problem for all the reasons that I mentioned. And now we go back to the basics. What does this basic thing concern? It concerns what Anthony identifies as part of Ramsey's Solutions. This young man works for Ramsey Solutions. He's a personality there, and he's an author, a speaker, a YouTube sensation. He's on it, and he tells us that we need to practice the Ramsey Solutions 7 baby steps. Now, in episodes on Up the Road, we're going to talk about these baby steps, but I'm going to mention them briefly to you tonight. Baby step 1 is save $1,000. Baby step 2 is create a debt snowball. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And then number 3 is the $1,000. Let me go back. The $1,000 is step 1. It's a starter emergency fund for little incidences or little things that you can't prevent, the uncontrollables, if you will. I know $1,000 won't cure it all, but $1,000 will help. Because the average person, listen at this, in America right now cannot handle a $400 emergency. Oh my. The average person in America cannot handle a $400 emergency. It would wipe out the money that they have on hand. So that's why a little car incident, new set of tires, service to your car, broken refrigerator, whatever the case may be, this $1,000 starter emergency fund is step 1. It'll help. 2, you create the debt snowball. The debt snowball is this: listing all of your debts from smallest to largest and tackling them one at a time from the smallest to the largest. Now, I know some people say, well, I would pay the one with the lowest interest rate first. No. If you have one with a 10% interest rate that's only $500, and you have one that's a 2% and it's $10,000, you would tackle the smallest one that first, because you could pay that off much quicker. And what you do is, when you create your debt snowball, you budget at the same time. Now, we're going to go over budgeting. We're going to go over some stuff. Anthony has a little budget in the book. It's zero-based, and that's what the debt snowball here is based on. And I want you to know that budgeting is the key, is the process. And when you budget, every little extra dime you have, you put it on that smallest debt. And you pay the minimum on everything else. All right? You pay the minimum on everything else. Then I'll say more about that later. 3 is when you complete your debt snowball, then you save 3 to 6 months of your expenses, your monthly expenses, in a real emergency fund. Everybody needs to have 3 to 6 months of money on hand after they pay off all of their bills for an emergency fund, the uncontrollables, all right? Then, after that, 4 is you start investing in a retirement. 5 is you start saving for your children's college and ESA, educational savings account, UTMA, Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, 529, whatever the case may be, start saving for your child's college education so that you create a legacy for them. Baby step 6 is tackle that mortgage. Throw every extra dime at the mortgage and pay it off. We'll talk about all of this in upcoming episodes. And 7 is that you live and be generous and give and save and grow and travel and have fun and live your life the way you want to. Those This is what he suggests that we should do in the book. So what I want us to know is that we need to focus, and it takes focus in order to do this. Now, that's part one and part two. The problem, the student loan debt is a thief. It won't tell you the truth. It keeps you from living your dream. But there's a solution. We can create a debt snowball, and we can begin to tackle that. How do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time. That's how you do it. And then he concentrates more in part three on the actual snowball effect. In that, the snowball is designed to not exactly do math, but it is designed to build momentum. And once you begin to build momentum and you pay off that lowest debt, then you take everything you were putting on that debt, roll it over into paying the minimum plus what you were paying for that debt you just paid off. Then you pay that one off. Then you take what you're paying for that smallest and the one you just paid off, you roll it over into the next one. Now, if your student loans are divided up, and some of them come from different companies, some of them are private and public, just line them up, largest to smallest, with the rest of your debt, and you tackle them all one at a time, excluding your mortgage. You just pay the regular monthly note on the mortgage, and all the other ones, you just pay the minimal amount as you pay extra on the smallest one you're working on at the time. One at a time. That's the snowball. The snowball gets bigger. As it rolls downhill, it gets bigger, it rolls faster, it builds inertia, gravity begins to pull it, and boom, before you know it, it's at the bottom of the hill, it's all over. You'll do the same thing. I want you to be blessed and fortunate in your pursuits. I want you to get out of this student loan debt. Now, Anthony also goes on to talk about in the book, there are ways that you can increase your salary by doing more work. And what he suggests is that these aren't permanent part-time jobs, but they are part-time jobs until you knock out the student loan debt and you clear yourself up. He suggests stuff like Uber and stuff like Uber Eats and Amazon and part-time and whatever the case may be. That more work for this season of your life is a good thing. And then once you pay it all off, say you're in the medical field, man, there are plenty of part-time jobs you could do. Say, you could create a little job at home. You could start a little side hustle. However it is, you can earn more money and do what you need to do to pay off those debts and those student loans. Then he talks about, look around in your house. What is it that you have that you could sell? What is it that you have not used in several months that you've walked past, or you've put in a storage closet, or you've put in your storage building outside that you have not used in quite a while? Sell it. What kind of equipment, what kind of stuff, clothing, whatever it is, sell it. Get that money. Build that inertia. What do you have a gym membership that you haven't gone in 6 or 8 months? Cancel it. Do you have Hulu and Prime and BET Plus and all of this on your TV? Get rid of some of that for a season. Downsize your cable to a lower plan. Stuff like that you can save just tons of money, and you could put that money into your debt snowball, and you can continue to do a great thing. Listen, watch what you eat. And I don't mean from a health perspective, I mean from a cost perspective. How much do you eat out? Are you budgeting to eat out? Or, some of us don't need to eat out until we pay off this debt. We need to go to the grocery store, preferably a discount grocery store like Aldi's or something like that we can get good food at a good price, and we can save and don't eat in restaurants. One meal in restaurant could be your weekly grocery bill. So watch that. You know, how much are you driving? What are you doing? Are you traveling? Are you going out at night? Are you socializing? Are you hanging out with your friends and you're using that debit card and you're not, you don't have the pain of taking cash out of your pocket. See? And learn how to do some other stuff in cash because, using a debit card, you don't feel the pain of giving up cash. Now, let me say this. I'm going to talk to you about a cash system that works in an upcoming episode, and I thank you so much. But to summarize what it is that we've been talking about, we want you to get out of all kinds of debt. And particularly, we want you to get out of this student loan debt because it's robbing you, it's lying to you. And it told you something that was not exactly true. And even if everybody else was doing it, that didn't mean you had to. So tonight, I want to bless you and encourage you to be different and to be bold and brave and do what nobody else is doing. Live now like nobody else is, so one day you can live later like nobody else can. So do that. Now, let me say this. This ministry is designed to help you get out of the debt you're in. As a matter of fact, I don't know how well I'm focused, but right here over my right shoulder, this is my certificate that says that I am a financial coach. So I can help you create a plan. We can have some conversations. You can solicit our services outside of what we do here on this broadcast, and we can help you create the plan that will get you to that place. We'll create a budget. We'll talk about mentality. We'll talk about ideas and insights and futures and plans and visions and dreams, and we'll learn to dream at a high level, and you can achieve it all. And if you begin now at a young age, you'll be surprised at what you can amass by the time you retire. So we're here. If you need our help at any point, please reach out to this ministry. And we know that we are grassroots ministry, but you can email us at jcorbettministries@gmail.com. Man, I would love to hear from you. Would love the opportunity to help you, and would love the opportunity to partner with you and walk with you till you get rid of these student loans and you live a debt-free life. All right? Hey, that's our broadcast for tonight. I love all of you. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends. Follow us on Instagram. Like us on Facebook. Ring the bell. Click and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you so much. Be blessed. Peace, my brothers and sisters. I'll talk to you Sunday morning, 10 o'clock.